Okay, so you won't believe where the trade war seems to have popped up now. My TikTok feed.
Of your
Seriously.
TikTok feed. How so?
I'm suddenly seeing all these videos, right, from Chinese manufacturers who are basically saying, hey, we're the ones making all your favorite stuff. Cut out the brand. Buy directly from us.
Wow. Okay. That's that's quite a direct approach. It's a fascinating development, isn't it? We're
Yeah.
seeing a sort of direct attempt by these suppliers to reach American consumers using social media.
Exactly. Bypassing traditional retail and, crucially, those tariffs we keep hearing about.
Yeah, the tariffs are key here. And that's what we're going to dive into today. We've got news articles buzzing about this, expert opinions flying around.
It really feels like we're getting a peek behind the curtain, how the stuff we buy actually gets made. Maybe you listening have seen these videos too and thought, hang on, is this for real?
So our goal in this deep dive is really to unpack what's truly happening.
Mm.
What are the broader implications for global trade? And maybe reveal some surprising truths about our own consumption habits.
All right, let's start with the trend itself, these TikTok videos. What exactly are people seeing?
Well, you've got examples like this user, Wang Sen. He's showing off what looks like a massive collection of Birkin bags, right?
Yeah, I saw that one. Claiming he's the OEM, the original equipment manufacturer for a ton of luxury brands.
And his message is crystal clear. Why don't you just contact us and buy from us? You won't believe the prices well, he implies, will give you. It's a very direct invitation.
Cut out the brand, cut out the markup. Simple as that, supposedly.
And it seems to be catching on, doesn't it? You look at the U.S. App Store rankings, and suddenly shopping apps like DHgate, None for Duplicates, and Taobao, China's huge e-commerce site, they both jumped up.
Which suggests people are interested, right? They're clicking, they're downloading, they want to see these direct offers.
Absolutely. And it's not just the super high-end luxury stuff either. There was another video that went totally viral.
Oh, the Lululemon one.
Exactly. Claiming to be from a supplier of Lululemon leggings, suggesting you could grab them for, what, $5 or $6?
$5 or $6. I mean, the comment section on that one just exploded. I saw one comment, it said something like, now this is how you do a trade war. Got over 1.5 million likes.
Whoa. That comment really says something, doesn't it?
Mm.
It captures this feeling of wanting to work around the system, maybe stick it to the man, or at least the tariffs.
Yeah, there's definitely a mix of curiosity and maybe a bit of like rebellious excitement, getting a deal and dodging tariffs.
But it's important to note, some of these videos are disappearing.
Mm-hmm.
Like Wang Sen's Birkin video got taken down.
Oh, interesting. So there's pushback happening.
It suggests some level of scrutiny, yeah. Could be the platforms, could be the brands themselves stepping in.
Which brings us right to the big question. Are these deals actually legit? Can you really get Lululemon leggings for $6 from the original factory? Let's stick with that example.
Okay, so this account, Luna Sourcing China, pointed to two specific factories in Yiwu. Said they were the source, offering leggings at a tiny fraction of the retail price.
It sounds amazing, but also kind of too good to be true.
And the prevailing expert opinion is that it likely is too good to be true. Think about it. Major brands like Lululemon, Chanel, whoever, they operate with their manufacturers under really strict non-disclosure agreements, NDAs.
Right, the NDAs, to protect their designs and processing.
Exactly. It's crucial for them. Allowing a factory to just openly advertise, hey, we make Lululemon, would completely undermine the brand. It opens the door to knockoffs, dilutes their value.
So the idea of these factories just posting TikTok saying, buy our Lululemon stuff here, highly improbable.
Very improbable. And Lululemon themselves came out pretty strongly, didn't they?
They did put out a statement saying they do not work with the manufacturers identified in the online videos. Full stop.
And they even pointed out that those specific factories weren't on their official supplier list from, I think it was April 2025.
Yeah, that's right. Plus, they stress that their supply chain is spread out Vietnam, Peru, Cambodia, as well as mainland China. It's not all in one place, let alone those two factories.
Precisely. As Hao Dong from the University of Southampton put it, any legitimate manufacturer for a big brand would be contractually obligated to keep that relationship confidential. They wouldn't risk their contract by marketing those products online.
Okay, so if it's not the real deal from the official factory, what is it people might be getting for $5?
Well, that's where it gets murky. The reality likely points towards either very high-quality duplicates items made to look very similar, but not actually claiming to be Lululemon.
Like unbranded leggings that look the same.
Potentially. Or the other possibility is outright counterfeits. Illegal copies specifically designed to deceive people into thinking they are getting the genuine article.
And brands like Lululemon actively fight against counterfeiting.
Right, absolutely. They invest a lot in protecting their brand integrity. So the $6 leggings, tempting, but almost certainly not the authentic product through legitimate channels.
Okay, that clears up the Lululemon example somewhat. But what about that even murkier world of luxury goods? You know, the made in Italy, Swiss made labels. Where does that stuff actually get made?
Ah, yes. This is where it gets particularly nuanced, even confusing sometimes. Regina Frey from the University of the Arts London sums it up perfectly.
Mm.
The answer is neither a clear yes nor a clear no.
Okay, neither yes nor no. How does that work?
Well, think about the production process.
Mm.
It often involves multiple stages, multiple countries. Many luxury brands might have components produced or do some initial assembly, say, in China.
Right.
And then the final stages, the finishing, the bits that legally qualify it for that made-in label, happen in Europe.
So, like, the little metal bits on a watch might be made somewhere else, but because it's put together in Switzerland, it's Swiss made.
Exactly.
Mm.
Or maybe the fabric and zippers for a designer tote are sourced globally, maybe even partially assembled. But the final stitching and packaging happens in France, so it gets the Made in France tag.
Huh. So, maiden refers to the last significant step, not necessarily where everything started.
Legally, that's often the case. It refers to the location of the last substantial transformation. But of course, consumer perception often assumes it means everything was done there, with local craftsmanship from start to finish.
Which isn't always the reality.
Not always. And these luxury supply chains are notoriously opaque. It's incredibly difficult to trace the precise origin of every single component. Free even points out that a factory physically located in Italy might still be under Chinese ownership or management.
Wow, okay. So that blurs the lines even further.
It really does.
So let's say you did manage to buy directly from a Chinese factory claiming to make parts for a luxury handbag. You're probably not getting the same end product you'd find in the boutique on Fifth Avenue.
That's a critical distinction, yeah. As Free notes, even if some components do originate in China for the real thing, buying directly from some unknown online source gives you zero guarantees.
No guarantee of the same quality control.
None. Or safety standards or warranties or return policies. You're taking a big risk. She specifically mentions those really expensive handcrafted handbags. While some pre-assembly might happen elsewhere, the final detailed craftsmanship that justifies the price. That's likely still happening in places like France or Italy.
Got it. Okay, and what about the whole point of this TikTok trend, at least as it's presented, dodging those big tariffs? If I buy direct, do I actually avoid paying them?
That's another major hurdle. It's not that simple. Even if
Oh.
you connect directly with a manufacturer, those tariffs, like the Trump-era ones, sum up to 145%, they're still officially in place.
So how would an individual package just slip through?
It's really unclear how individual purchases, especially if they start happening en masse, would consistently manage to circumvent customs duties and tariffs. Plus, there's another big change coming,
What's that?
the likely elimination of the de minimis exemption. Right now, packages valued under $800 can often enter the U.S. without facing significant tariffs or taxes. That's how sites like Temu and AliExpress ship so many cheap items directly.
Oh, okay, I've heard of that.
Well, if that exemption goes away, as is being discussed, then even those smaller direct-from-factory purchases are probably going to get hit with duties, pushing the price up.
So the whole avoid tariffs angle might be more aspirational than realistic, especially long term.
It certainly looks that way. But what's really interesting about all this, perhaps unintentionally,
Yeah.
is how these viral videos are shining a massive spotlight on something many Americans might not fully think about day to day. Just how reliant we are on Chinese and other international supply chains.
Oh, totally. That quote from Free really stuck with me. If China stopped producing, our shops would be empty. It's stark, isn't it? Makes you look around and wonder where everything comes from.
And this newfound visibility, however it came about, is kind of forcing consumers to confront the origins of their products. Maybe think a bit more about ethical sourcing, labor conditions, the real journey of that t-shirt or gadget.
Yeah, it pulls back the curtain in an unexpected way. But it's not just about economics and ethics, is it? Frey also mentioned the environmental side.
Yes, absolutely. This trend of mass individual orders shipped directly from manufacturers, it echoes the rise of ultra-fast fashion platforms like Shein and Temu, which also rely heavily on that de minimis rule we mentioned.
And all those separate packages flying or shipping across the globe, that can't be good.
Frey calls it an environmental disaster. And when you think about it, the sheer volume of individual plastic wrappers, the carbon footprint of all that air and sea transport for single, often low-cost items.
Items that might be part of that fast fashion cycle, worn a few times and then discarded.
Exactly. Contributing to waste and pollution. It's a huge cumulative impact.
It really makes you think. I remember seeing that comment you mentioned earlier, the trade war one, but there was another one floating around. Are we witnessing the death of capitalism?
Whoa, okay, that's dramatic.
A bit dramatic, yeah, but it taps into this sort of unease, doesn't it? This feeling that maybe the current system of global production and consumption, especially at the ultra cheap end, has some serious hidden costs and maybe isn't sustainable.
It definitely raises profound questions for us as consumers.
Yeah.
What are the true costs behind these incredibly low prices, these direct from factory offers? It goes way beyond just the number on the price tag.
So let's try and wrap this up. This whole TikTok phenomenon, these Chinese factories reaching out directly, it's really opened a can of worms, hasn't it?
It certainly has. It's forced us to look at product authenticity, the incredible complexity of global supply chains, the actual impact of tariffs, and yeah, the true cost, both economic and environmental, of the things we buy.
And while that promise of cutting out the middleman, getting amazing deals is super appealing on the
The
surface.
reality we've explored today is just far more complicated. There are huge question marks over quality, authenticity, whether you're really dodging tariffs in the long run, and what you lose in terms of consumer protection.
Right. So here's the final thought, maybe the most important takeaway for everyone listening. Now that you've had this peek behind the curtain, seen some of the complexities, how might this change the way you think about your next purchase?
Does knowing a bit more about where things might come from and the systems involved influence your decisions? Do you start looking beyond just that tempting price tag?
It's definitely something to chew on long after the TikTok scroll is over. Makes you reconsider what value really means in this globalized world.